There. Okay.
Thanks. So thank you, everybody, for coming and finding us. This wrong address I sent out, but you were covered. We'd like to start off with joys and concern. I'll let Cheryl go first.
Hi. So what happened to my arm was we were coming back from lunch and Lita needed to go potty. So we parked and I just ran out of the car and wasn't looking, and I tripped over a curb stop, like at the end of a parking spot. And I flew and I hit my face against a car bumper. And I have a fracture in my shoulder and a fractured rib.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh gosh.
And everyone's telling me it'll be okay in 3 days, but it's
Oh, I
not.
thought it was.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I thought you said you're humorous. Wow.
Yeah, and my humerus. It's humerus is up here.
where
Andrew.
are you, Cheryl?
I'm in Indianapolis,
that's-
with Nancy and yeah, family.
That part of
So
your
the
phone.
lesson to learn is don't go to Indianapolis because then you get your arm hurt.
Or just let your daughter pee herself, I guess.
Yeah.
Any other joys or concerns?
Barbara Class broke her foot.
Oh, no.
Well, this
How
is a
did-
few days ago, but yeah, she's still got the boot on.
Oh, my.
Oh.
I've got both a joy and a concern. My joy is I just came back from South Carolina, so I got to visit with my mom and give her her first hug in over a year.
Wow.
Yay.
That was good. And the concern is my daughter just tested positive for COVID,
Oh,
Mm.
but mild symptoms so far. So
Well,
That's
you
all.
might find, oh, I never can find where my hand is. There we go.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Sue.
Now that you mentioned that, Shannon's father, who you probably haven't met, but maybe have. Anyway, I just got back from Katie and Shannon's an hour or so ago. And Shannon's father had been sick since his trip to New Orleans last January. And they suspect that he probably had COVID, but he's been not really recovered ever since then. And in the last month, I guess he had a terrible, debilitating headache every day and was really getting discouraged. But he had his vaccine the last few days, and now he is totally getting much better.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah.
That's wonderful.
So, yeah, that's really encouraging because I guess he was very discouraged.
So Betsy, maybe your daughter should try and get vaccinated.
Yeah.
somehow.
Interesting.
I don't think they'll do it until after she's not testing positive.
Oh, really?
So yes.
I want to
So
double dose.
she's quarantined until next Friday, which is amazing. It's just for 10 days. But
Does she have much symptoms?
she's only had a headache, a
Oh,
little
good.
bit of congestion, but she also has allergies. So
Mhm.
like me.
Oh, ironically,
Will she
Shannon
get
had-
tested?
Sorry,
Why did she get tested then?
because she was having allergy symptoms primarily, but she also went to a wedding.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Weddings
Yeah.
are the worst. Wow.
It was supposed to be outside.
Yeah.
So I have joy and sadness. My joy is that for 2 weeks I've been with a bunch of vaccinated people. First time other than with Sue and Durham that I've been with people face to face unmasked in over a year, and that's been wonderful. And I really enjoyed my time. And my sad, I just before this call found out, I'm still in shock that a very good old friend of mine passed away suddenly. So I'm sort of processing that. I mean, I just got off the phone with her husband,
Jeez.
and I just he didn't see it coming. I didn't see it coming. We haven't really been in touch that much since I moved, but it's still quite a shock. But my time in San Diego has been great.
I'm so sorry, Alan.
When do you come back?
Well, I come back tomorrow for a day, and Jill's actually going to be there the whole week,
Mhm.
and then I'll be back for relative good in another week after that.
She said you were taking a tour of North Carolina.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. I hope, go ahead.
SK,
Okay.
Oh, just one more joy along the lines of many others shared that my fully vaccinated parents, I got to hug them and see them for the first time in over a year this weekend.
Wow.
So,
Oh, that's great.
well, and Kathy Scone put in a chat. Kathy?
She might be on the road. No,
Oh,
no, that's
okay.
not true. That's not true. She couldn't be. Never mind. I just
No,
got
SK,
confused.
SK, are you vaccinated?
no, I'm not yet.
Oh.
Sorry, y'all are in my back pocket while I'm working in the garden.
We know how we rate, Kathy. You said you were able to hug
Yeah.
your mom.
Yeah, she turned 75 on Friday and she's fully vaccinated for like a month. And I had 2 weeks, no, 2 weeks into my first shot. So I did get to hug her and that was pretty exciting.
That's great.
Good. You know,
That's-
the death rate among people 75 and over is essentially 0 at this point.
Good. Good. Okay.
Carol has a comment. Or
Hey, I just had a quick thing that I got hurt the same day as Pete's birthday.
Lovely.
Happy
Is
birthday.
that joy or concern?
It's really sad.
It's a correlation, but not a causation.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, anybody else? Great. Thank you for sharing. And I'd hope that Bennett would be here with a poem, but I don't see him. Bennett, are you here? Speak up if you are. I don't think so. So I'd like to move to Shahar, who's going to just talk to us for a couple minutes about messaging using Basecamp.
I don't see Shahar.
I do. He's got a half circle shirt on. There we go.
Oh, there he is. Oh, he kind of disappeared in the background there. Okay.
No, he didn't.
A lot of people here. Yeah, so this was a request. Hopefully, I mean, it definitely seems like people are using Basecamp, and I have the sense that it's kind of increased our sort of more informal communication with each other a little bit. It's hard to tell. I mean, maybe not, but anyway. I guess the main question is, so one thing that I wanted to clarify is this, and I'm going to share my screen if I'm allowed to. Yes.
Yes, you are. It's my website. So
Okay. So this was an email. This was a message that Jonathan sent on Basecamp a while ago. I picked this one because I don't actually get emails for every message anymore. I don't get any. I get a summary email once a day from everything that's going on Basecamp. I don't get an email every time someone sends a message. And you can, I've explained how to just do that so that if you don't want that many emails coming. But it could seem like you're just getting an email. So like here, it says Solterra HQ, dinner and a film. If something starts with Solterra HQ, it means it's coming from Basecamp. It also says here, it's Jonathan Gerard Basecamp, right? And it says to me. And it looks like, oh, this is just to me. But it's not, because if you look down here, you see everyone that's getting this. This message was sent to everyone. Which means if you hit reply to this, it's gonna go to everyone. And it could seem, maybe because it just says to me, that, oh, this is an email he sent to me. And if I hit reply, it's just going to go to Jonathan. So, but it's not. And most messages that come through your email system to Basecamp are going to be like this because they come from the messages place in Basecamp. Okay. So I think that's the one thing I wanted to clarify. I want to clarify one other thing, but that's the first thing. So just
Shahar, one of the downsides for this is in group site, if somebody put a comment in a calendar thing and you responded to it, that was essentially kind of private. I mean, you'd have to go to that calendar entry to see the response. And so you would have these exchanges where like you do on Facebook, where two people are communicating with each other. And the problem is you don't realize when you put that response to somebody now on Basecamp, that goes to everybody. And so something that you think is a private response to someone turns out to be something that everybody thinks has been sent to them by you.
Yeah.
So that's actually my question. Is there the capability to reply to an individual, or does any reply go to the whole community?
So if I click on, I might have to log in because I have two Basecamp things. So let me just.
Well, Shahar, doesn't it depend on who you've chosen to see notifications for that event?
Yes. Okay. Okay. So here, I just hit when I was in this email, I clicked respond in Basecamp. So that takes me to Basecamp. Now, then everyone responded, and you can put in a comment. And if you look here, you're going to see that, you know, if it's just as it is, everyone is going to get this.
So Shahar, I have a question.
So there are two things. I just want to answer the question. So there are two things you can do. You can go to add remove people here, select no one, and then just make sure Jonathan gets it, and then you're just sending it to Jonathan. And that way you could toggle exactly who you want on it. Another way to do it is just to message. It's not a response, but you go to pings, and now this is just a private message to Jonathan. It's not within that thread of the message, but it's just a message to Jonathan.
Yeah, well, that's good. The reason I was asking is not so much for privacy, but just basically, there's nothing I hate more than a reply all email that people aren't interested in. So what I've been doing without knowing the answer is, if I want to send it, I just go in the email and send it directly to the person.
So Shahar, I have a question for you. So who is causing the noise? So anyway, so question for you, Shahar. Many people, when they put a calendar entry, do they send note to all? When I put in a calendar entry, I say no one, and then I then send a note through the listserv to all, so I don't run into that problem. So this is not a technical, this is a social issue. Do you recommend that we always put all on calendar entries or none on calendar entries?
Okay, so what Brand is talking about, so if I go to the schedule and pick a date and add an event, then after I enter the information, I can say, when I post this, don't notify anyone. Or I can click here and say, select everyone or select no one, or just some people. So you can choose if you don't want, you can just stick it on the calendar and no one knows about it. Or you can put it on the calendar and everyone will get a notification that this event has been added. I would basically recommend don't notify anyone unless you want everyone to know that, you know, this thing is now on the calendar, and then everyone will get a message. Typically, like if you're adding a board meeting or, you know, something that we all kind of know about anyway, there's no point. I guess it depends on the nature of it. I think when I added Spruce Up Day, I notified everybody because I want people to know. So it just depends. Does that answer?
And I think on this page, there are two good examples. Vicky working in Common House, there's no reason to notify everyone, but the next item is community meeting, where you wouldn't want to notify everybody.
Exactly.
So Shahar, the reason why I do things the way I do is kind of to replicate what we did in group sites. So by choosing to create an event where notify no one, then when people add comments to the event, then those comments stay with the event, and I notify everyone outside Basecamp with the listserv. And so it sounds like, you know, we can kind of pick and choose.
Well, we've got to figure out a way to do this efficiently, because when we start doing canteen, it's going to be really important to get a head count.
Yeah.
I'm really unhappy about the fact that we don't have group site because that worked perfectly. I
No,
mean,
it
I
didn't.
don't see anything comparable.
Used to. It used to work perfectly.
Yeah, but then the reason we switched to Basecamp, Judith, was that group site really,
They revamped their whole site.
I was going to use a bad word. They really messed up group
Yeah,
site.
but we have to get an alternative that works.
It's
Because you
called
cannot do
Basecamp.
canteen night without knowing exactly how many people are coming.
Well, when that comes up, I'm sure we
Well-
can agree on a way to make sure.
So there was no, what we've been doing in terms of Basecamp with knowing how many people are coming to something, what's something that we've wanted to know about? I'm not.
Well, like donuts in the morning, we'll have to know, but I put that down as a nobody.
Oh, we don't have to know exactly.
So I guess we know, I'm just scrolling down. So I forget what events, but we've had some events where people said, I'm coming or not. And I just scroll down
Right.
and it's a simple counting. It's not, there's nothing, there's not
So
hard.
so Shahar, when we create the event where we do need to know the number of people, we should say in the event comments themselves, please put a comment in this event so we can count you.
Please let us know if you're coming.
Right. The comment to the event is the RSVP.
Got it.
I'm coming. And if it's not just you, if it's also your wife and kid, it's I'm coming +2. And that's it. We used to have to go into group site and count the +2s also. Right? You would have to put in a comment and say it's me and Patricia because there's no difference. It's very frustrating to hear. There's no difference. We had to do that in group site and we'll do the exact same thing now. Nothing changed really. We have to go in there and count it.
Okay.
So, okay. The only other thing I wanted to talk about is like the difference between a ping and a message on your phone. And the difference is there isn't one. Like it's just interchangeable. So I feel like that it's just a redundancy. And sometimes it's easier for me if I'm within Basecamp already to say, oh, I need to send Jonathan a message, and I just click Jonathan and type him a message, and I don't have to go to my phone and look something up. But sometimes it's easier on my phone. And then I'll say one more comment. I know we have to move on. I would definitely recommend getting the iPhone app. The way I stay informed of Basecamp is not through my computer, but I do get a little notification when someone says something because I've downloaded the app. And to me, that's easy. It's less intrusive. If my phone's on silent, I don't know. I just look at it. But that way I know when I feel it works for me. And the app totally reproduces everything else. And Kathy put that in the chat that she found that helpful. So others might as well.
Okay. Thank you very much, Shahar. We'll get it. I think we'll get it.
Change is hard.
Change is hard. So we'll move on to the committee reports, and Sue, you're up on my screen. We'll start with you, Common House.
Okay. The Common House will be cleaned this coming Tuesday morning.
That's it?
That's pretty much it. I mean, well, actually, no, there was more to it. Mary and I went over and looked at furniture at Florence and Tom's house for possible use in the Common House. And I think what we decided was, at least I thought, that it would be easier to decide on it if it was in situ, if we could see it where it was going to go. And so if we could get somebody with a truck who would be willing to haul the furniture over there so we could put it out and see how it looked, then I think we could make a better informed decision. There's 2 beautiful recliners that are leather, I think, or faux leather. I don't think they're leather, and a couch. And the couch we weren't so sure about because it's not big enough to replace the ones we have, but it's too, and it wouldn't really go with it to add it to the mix. But the recliners could be a 1-to-1 swap because we have 2 recliners there now, and one is really old, and they're comfortable though, but anyway, so that's what I would like to do, is if possible, to get somebody to help us move them over there so we can look at them in place.
Okay, great. So if you'll send out an email to recruit somebody, that'd be great.
Yeah. Mhm.
Good.
I just got back from being out of town for the last
Yeah,
5 days, so I'm trying to get my feet under me again, but
great. Welcome back.
thank you.
Thank you. Let's do community life next. That's Brand.
Yeah, community life. Hold on. Let me there we go. Okay, we've got a lot of events for the next few weeks. Obviously, we had these 2 events this week. We had the Equinox celebration, which was wildly successful last week. Thank you, Jonathan. Then we've got Donuts in the Morning coming up next week, or on April 3rd. I guess that is next week.
It is Saturday, and Jill Perlman is going to be helping with the donuts
Oh, wow.
at her request, and
She's
possibly,
planning
yeah.
on it.
So Alan is in California and Joe will be here. That's
No,
interesting.
we're both flying back tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
And she's going to be staying at the house for the whole week, and I'll be there. I will be there on Saturday for the donuts, to eat the donuts, and she's going to help Sue prepare them.
Right.
Okay, I'll fix that up later. And then in 2 weeks, we've got Jonathan's dictionary. Jonathan's doing a lot here. Jonathan's dinner and a movie. We have Kelly will be talking about COVID vaccines. And then on Saturday, April 10th, we have Solterra Stories and Poetry Slam. So people have said that they'll do little 5-minute stories and 5-minute poems. And then we have Preston the following week on views on news and education. We have some other things, but it kind of goes, it's next month. So anyway, it's been very busy. Questions, comments?
I would just say,
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
It's Jonathan.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Man, move over a minute.
Excuse me, Ann.
I've been supplanted.
Only for a moment. Brad, thank you for thanking me for the Equinox celebration, but it's really Pat and Sasha that did the work. And
Oh, that's right. Oh boy, I'm so sorry. You're right.
They really deserve a lot of credit and appreciation. Thank you. I want to say something about dinner and a film. I have selected the first 2 films for 2 months in a row, knowing that I'm the only one here with good taste. Others have challenged that opinion, and I'm willing to test the taste of other people in Solterra. Please send me a recommendation for a film. If you have a recommendation, though, you got to have the film on a DVD that I can show on my computer by sharing it with everybody. And of course, dinner's on your own until we.
Jonathan, what about if the movie's on Netflix? Because I have a recommendation, but I don't know any other way to access it.
If it's on Netflix, yes, I can do it that way. I forgot. Or Amazon Prime, either way.
Okay.
So Preston, you had something?
yeah, just views of the news will be a different topic every time. So I need to update the base camp event. Next time will not be education. We're still thinking about it. Might be healthcare, leaning towards something like that. But yeah, open to suggestions, and everyone's welcome.
Thank you.
Good. But email me, just to me, not to everybody. Email me the films you'd like to show, and I'll make sure that they get shown.
Well, so Jonathan, we should do that in the comments so everybody gets copied it, right? On the base camp schedule entry. I'm joking.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah, don't, it's like reply all to a private message. We're just getting flooded with this stuff. Don't do
Okay, anything else about Common Lands? I mean, about community life? So let's go on to Common Lands. Is Buck here? Buck, are you here? I'm not sure I saw Buck.
Nope.
Okay,
I've not
well,
seen Buck.
Derek is out of town, but he did send me an email. The playground meeting went well. He sent the meetings out, the minutes out. Kathy sent them out, I guess. He says, great ideas coming together. Likely have another playground meeting Saturday, April 10th at 10 a.m. Please come out and contribute ideas and feedback to replace the current play structure. As we move forward, there will be additional opportunity to do hands-on work, more to come. He said a tree update. Still looking for a second opinion from an arborist for the pine near the Common House parking lot. The previous opinion on removal was provided by Jeff H., who is an arborist. I'm still waiting for a quote on removal from Jeff. I reached out to Jeff to get his opinion on possibly saving the tree. We'll discuss with the board regarding additional cost on arborist company engagement, but in the interim, be very careful parking there, especially if the weather is bad. These are Jeff's comments. Long story short, there's no remedy to help that tree get better. The aesthetic appearance of the front side of the tree would lend to the conclusion that it is healthy. Just because it's been there a long time, it has been probably 80 years or more, doesn't mean it's healthy. In fact, its age is a big factor in the reason for removing it. The tree is in the last cycle of its life, and while I have no idea how long it would sit there and cause no problems, the fissure and age of the tree tell me that at some point it will come down and it will fall into the parking area playground. If this were happening in a secluded wooded area, it wouldn't be an issue at all, just nature doing what it does. But the fact that it's in that highly used area makes it an immediate concern. And there was some information about the new mower, but if Buck's not here, I don't have that information. Yes,
Nancy?
Lois? Lois?
I wanted to add that there's a garden meeting Wednesday evening at 7, and I need someone to let me know the Solterra arrangement to make a Zoom account, Zoom, whatever it is, appointment.
Great. So
Okay.
if you email me and remind me, I can send you the link and let you know. Okay.
Nancy?
Yes.
I just wanted to add that the Trosa mowing is probably going to start next week, mostly because this week is too wet and they tend to get stuck in the meadows when they mow there. So we have contacted them and asked to do it in the next 2 weeks. So it's probably going to be next week. I'll send out a note when I know for sure.
Okay, great.
Oh, I want to say one other thing about the
Sure.
garden. We've had, there's constant shifting of beds as people want more or less and all that sort of thing. And we do have one vacant bed right now. So if anyone that isn't a gardener wants to have a bed, let me know. And if someone, anyway, let me know your shifting desires about your beds.
I'm glad you're flexible. That's great. Anything else about common lands,
Yeah, man, Nancy,
Brand?
we still have a little bit of firewood left between my house and Barbara's new house. So come grab it, or if it's not grabbed by tomorrow, I'll cart it off someplace. But anyway, free firewood.
Good. Anything else about common lands?
It's kind of windy out there right now.
Yes, it is. I don't know why I said yes, it is. I'm not in your state. It's windy here in Indianapolis too.
Well, I'm out on our porch watching the trees periodically blow hard. So, you know,
Great.
it's maybe the test of the 80-year-old tree.
That's right. Okay, the ARB. Any information?
They approved taking down our tree.
Shahar, do you have any comments from Neva on that, or? I happen to know that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes, no, I forgot to ask her about that. No.
Okay. Well, I happen to know that the Don and Nancy Shaw's request to build a ground level deck was approved. And I don't think they had any other notice, any other business. So
They had our tree.
I'm sorry.
Our tree. They approved our tree.
Yeah, those
Oh.
were those were the two items, and they both passed without any controversy whatsoever.
Cool. Okay.
Alan, are you complaining?
No,
Great. All right.
no.
thank
The
you.
only controversy was I lost track of the time zone, so I did attend the meeting from California, but I had the time zones backwards at first.
Okay. The board wanted to make a brief note about the COVID restrictions that we have had in place in Solterra. We did discuss it at our last board meeting, And we thought because that there's such a fluid nature of the recommendations coming from the state and the CDC, that we're just going to keep the restrictions the way they are for the moment. And as changes are made, we'll discuss them and let you know if we decide to change any of the requirements that we have now. We're hoping for good things by the summertime. And we appreciate everybody, following the guidelines that the board has set up. Any comments or questions about that? Okay, great. So we're going to go on to talk about paths again. Testing your patience once more, but we have some new information. And what we're going to do is I'm going to do a little introduction, and then we'll talk about the different parts of the project and finish up with the Paths Finance Committee giving you some information. So, so far the Path Committee has gathered information and quotes about renewing the Path system. We've looked, if you can all hear my bird, it's my grandson's bird, cheeping away there. We've looked at drainage, lighting, and surfaces. We shared our initial information with you in January, and we invited questions and concerns. Based on those and based on a survey that we did, we had a meeting in February that included a quick review of the information, community speakers with various viewpoints, and small group discussions that reported back to the whole group. Based on your input and the survey and the small groups and conversations we've had, we looked further at some aspects of the project. We met with Bill Hunt, a stormwater runoff expert from North Carolina State University. We also met with Mitch Woodward, another expert from NCSU, to talk about rain gardens. We walked the paths with yet another contractor who had come highly recommended to us by Bill Hunt and people in the community. And we want to share with you what we learned. And so you'll hear some new information as we go through what we have to share with you. Based on all of our new knowledge and your participation in the process, we've been able to narrow our proposal down to one that we think best meets the needs of our community. As always, in a community of individuals with differing interests and needs, there's trade-offs. No one solution will be perfect for each person, but the committee has a proposal which we believe best serves us as a community and also individual needs. We'd like to ask you to continue to have an open mind and continue to lead us forward. We don't expect to make a decision today. Last month, some people said that they would prefer to make no changes to the path. When we thought about what that meant, we feel that everyone, even people who like the path just as it is, recognize that there is a need for improved drainage throughout the community. To improve the drainage, we do need to improve the path. They're intertwined. To only work on drainage and just repair what parts of the path would need to be dug up and then redone wouldn't be cost effective. We would be bringing in heavy equipment each time, and the cost would be more than what it would be to do it as one project. As you hear our presentation today and the discussion that follows, I encourage you to speak up today or to contact Brand or me afterwards once you've had time to think about what you hear today. We want to continue to be community-led in this process. Today we'll do a brief recap of drainage and lighting parts of the project. You'll hear a presentation on rain gardens, which is a valuable addition to what we've been talking about in the past. Then we'd like to make a comprehensive proposal for you to consider, and that will be followed by a report by the Path Finance Committee. We'd really like to thank Betsy, who connected us to our North Carolina State experts and who has been our leader in learning about rain gardens. I know many of you are well versed in rain gardens also, and we hope to use your input as well as we go along. We've also scheduled a lot of time today to take your questions and comments, and we've asked the facilitation team to help explain and coordinate this very important part of today's of the process today, part of the consensus process. I just want to emphasize we're not making a decision today. We're continuing to discuss the project, and now we're at the point where we really welcome comments and we welcome questions, further questions. And, we really want to know what people think of what we're offering to you today. So the first part, the first part was the intro, just did that. So next up is drainage. And Matt is going to talk about that. So Matt, you're up.
Yay, thank you. So the project is broken up into several different groups, and I got voluntold to be the drainage guy. So myself, Audrey Wynn, Tom Link, and
That's it.
that's it.
Yeah, there was only 3 of you.
I knew it was a small group. We've met with a number of different people. Various proposals that were submitted to us by contractors were distributed as a presentation before that's on Basecamp. We don't have time to go through every detail, but I'll summarize. If anybody wants to talk about the details, please ask with a view towards the clock. It rained yesterday. It rained today. All you have to do is look around and you know that we have drainage problems. If you start back at the entrance, like behind Stephanie Miller, it's mushy everywhere. There's a partially caved in drainage pipe. That's one of the proposals to be fixed and will be fixed if we move forward with this project. So we come down towards the meadow. The meadow's got a lot of mush in it. It's got water coming in from the corner where we live, and that's collected water from the high spot behind Moon Valley all the way down, and it has to get into the meadow. The pipes are clogged and not the right size, and that is a proposal to fix it and get it down to the corner in the bottom part of the big meadow. Going all the way down towards Karen Mitchell's empty lot and Audrey Wynn's and Alan Perlman's houses. That's downhill in 2 directions. It's downhill going towards the park, and it's also downhill coming from Randolph Road down towards the lowest spots. Those things conspire to make a lot of very fast moving water that has destroyed the path and has clogged up the existing drainage network that is out there. That is the biggest part of the proposal, is to fix all of that. And that's also, there's written descriptions in the stuff that's posted on Basecamp. Most of these fixes involve digging stuff out, replacing some pipes, enhancing some pipes, putting some pipes underneath the pathways to conduit the water away from where it has been pooling, catch basins, and connections to our underwater drainage system. Those are existing solutions. We've got multiple vendors that are wanting to contract to do that work, and we've got numbers for you later. If you continue on down the big path from the common house down to I guess the Barren Fields and Barbara Cass's house and Brandon City down that direction. There's a lot of puddles, there's a lot of pooling, there's a lot of standing water on the pathways. We've all seen that. Everyone we've talked to suggests that that can be fixed by either grading or small conduits to go underneath the path. And so that is helpful. The path surfaces are probably going to be a little bit higher than what we've got right now because of just technical reasons and cost. And so that problem will need to be addressed. Everybody that has looked at it, including a civil engineer with no financial conflict of interest, multiple contractors that do have a financial conflict of interest, and then the latest folks that came out from NC State, they agree. There's going to be places that the water pools. You're going to hear from Betsy Smith about rain gardens, which is going to help a lot to both slow the movement of the water, which causes one set of problems, and allow it to sit and infiltrate into the soil, which fixes another set of problems. I'll say a little bit more later, but I guess what I wanted to emphasize was that the problems are fairly obvious and the solutions are also. This is kind of the smallest aspect of the project, but it does come first because the drainage has to precede the lighting, which has to precede the resurfacing aspects of the project and installation of rain gardens. So I'll stop now, but I'm going to be here. Just let me know if you have questions and we'll dig into it.
Great, thank you, Matt. We're going to move on to Betsy talking about rain gardens, and I am going to share my screen, except that's not quite it. Wait a minute. I just have to figure out what I'm doing here.
May I want to share just the window?
I'm sorry.
Instead of sharing your desktop, share the window of the stuff you want to show.
Can anybody see what I've got up now?
No.
Yeah.
So click on share screen.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm sorry to take so long.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, share screen.
And you'll see a bunch of boxes there. The one or two boxes in the upper left are desktop. Don't do that. One of the boxes will be the window that you want everybody to see. You
Here we
click
go.
on that, and then yes, you did it.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So Betsy,
Great.
just tell me.
Okay, do you want to project it too?
How's
Okay.
that?
Yeah, that's great. So this is just a short, sort of redundant presentation, but we also thought we could post it, and it has some references at the end so you can go and get more information. So next slide, Nancy.
Wait a minute. Hang on. I do know how to do this. Okay.
Right. Okay. So why rain gardens? Again, you've heard me say this all before. With impervious surface, we're really screwing up hydrology. We are increasing our runoff up to 500% of what it is naturally. We get increased pollutant loads. We get increased erosion and sedimentation. We're disrupting these natural hydrologic systems that on their own do a lot of good for us. They help with carbon sequestration, they reduce flooding, et cetera. And we have increasing numbers of impaired watersheds throughout the country, and that's my EPA hat coming out right there. So it's a pretty significant problem when you have a lot of impervious surface. Next slide. I'm going to rush through these two. So just another call out to the people at NC State. Like most land grant universities, they have a cooperative extension service, which if you didn't go to school on an ag campus, you may not know about, but this is a service that they provide for free to communities and to individuals within their state. So this is a great resource that we can go to. They will come back out again. Mitch will come visit us again and give us some more information on doing better stormwater management. But basically over the past 20 to 30 years, the thinking about stormwater management has completely changed. It used to be that they told everybody to take a pipe from your gutters and direct it towards the road, do everything towards the road and to the storm drainage places there. Instead, now today, they're really pushing the use of green infrastructure, which is a rain garden is the most popular practice associated with green infrastructure, and low impact development, which should be like the permeable concrete. Next slide. The benefits of rain gardens, low maintenance, low water use, attractive landscape feature that's great for habitat. Increases the infiltration as much as 30% over a regular just lawn, and it reduces the flooding. Next slide. And the rain gardens that we're talking about would have plants in them. You don't have to put plants in them, but you do get additional benefits from that. Mostly you get additional transpiration. So the plants take up a lot of the water. They also take up nutrients and heavy metals that can come from atmospheric deposition in particular. They stabilize the soil, increase the biota, et cetera. So it's a good thing to do for the ecosystems and for increasing our pollinators and other beneficial insects, as well as birds, et cetera. Next slide. This, I think, is a picture that you had, Nancy. So this is pictures. This is people planting in a rain garden, which,
This is supposed to be a video, but it doesn't seem to be loading up for me.
okay, good. That's what it is.
Yeah. We
That's
can
too
actually, we can
bad.
actually go past that.
Okay, okay. So next slide then, if you, okay. And then this is just the resources along with some pictures of my favorite rain garden flowers. I have all of these in my rain garden except for the blue star, which Matt has in his backyard, I guess, on the path there. So they can be really colorful, perennial plants, you know, do have a lot of benefits. They are being advocated for by, well, NC State, of course, as you saw, that's the second link here. Durham has a webpage that talks about how to build rain gardens. Town of Chapel Hill, EPA, Bowling Creek, which is one of our local watersheds that's getting a lot of attention recently. And then I don't know if you want to go forward or not, but
Oops, sorry.
Yeah,
We just went backwards.
yeah, this would be the, if we want to talk about that. Do you want to talk about that now or hold off?
I don't think we really need to talk about it right now.
Okay.
Personally, but
Okay.
the circled areas are some of the areas that he identified. Is that right?
Yes, that's
But
correct.
other areas as well.
Yes, along the path, in particular behind my house, and Brands, all that area.
Yeah. So I would like to actually go back to very first slide because my video didn't work. No. And can you just give a little explanation of how it's constructed?
Sure. This is actually the picture that's taken from the Durham website. And actually, we should probably just include the links and the resources too. But in my example in my yard, or actually on my yard and common lands, is what we did was dig out a basin-shaped hole with slope sides with a berm around it. Dig it out to what Mitch had said was we only need about 10 inches. I did mine to 15 inches. We will have to cart off some of that soil because the clay will clog up things. It's not a good thing to have. Replace it with organic material and a little bit of sand to you know, hold the moisture in it. And then you plant it with plants that can both survive a lot of rain and being wet. My rain garden stays wet for a day after it quits raining. And that's sort of what's expected is you'll have a pool of water for a little while. If you have soils that percolate slower and you have water that stays for a longer time, then you'd have to switch to a wetland garden instead, which I don't think we will have to do that. But anyway, you plant it with plants that both can take this high water level and in the summertime can do without a lot of water. So there's a plant list that NC State has. A lot of the plants are available easily from the botanical gardens and other places. And I've actually got a lot of them starting on my porch as seeds. So that's basically it. You do put a little bit of mulch around the plants. You have to water them initially, usually. But I would advocate for doing a fall planting when the wetness is starting. So.
And one thing to note is that the water will pond in a storm, but it will recede within 24 to 48 hours.
Right.
So there's no danger of mosquitoes growing in these areas.
Right. You have to have water 3 days to get mosquitoes.
Right. Sue, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I've got a question on just how this works. Does it work by the water running into it or by it perking in from underground?
The water
not perking underground.
Okay. So how do we direct it into there?
Well, we put it in part of a slope
where it goes anyway. Okay.
Yes.
And with the berm, with the berm around it, how does the water go in there?
You typically, like in mine, you create a low spot so that when it gets to a certain level, it'll
flow in naturally.
It'll flow out. Yeah. So the idea is mostly you're trying to slow it down and give it a chance to infiltrate. And our soils take a long time. They take about 24 hours to infiltrate.
So. Yes. Well, and in addition to the 2 ovals that were drawn on the map, I'd really like to propose one outside of Diane Sherry's house on the path there.
That would be a possibility. We
Oh,
didn't
that-
walk that with Mitch, but you
That
know,
was a huge,
but he did offer to come back if we want him to.
yeah, well, that was,
And
I
one of
walked
the,
that enough and it's awful.
one of the things is
Right.
as the new drainage infrastructure goes in, it may change
Right.
exactly where we need to do some of these things. So we might do some of the major rain gardens right
After-
away, because we
Oh.
know that's not going to change, but then parts of the path that may change because of changing how the drainage is working in that area, and
Okay.
putting a path that possibly could be an inch higher or something. We need to see
Right.
where we need to do rain gardens, and we can do, as Betsy said, the rain gardens can have no plants, because to have plants, you need sunshine, so at least some sunshine. But
Right.
the possibility of doing rain gardens that, don't really have many plants in them. But
That's a possibility. I would say that most rain gardens, you can actually have partial shade. Mine's got a lot of shade, but I have plants in it that do well with that. So
Yeah.
it only has a little bit of sun.
Good, sounds good to me.
So Betsy, thank you very much for that.
Sure.
When we have our question and answer period and comment period at the end, I'd really like to have questions on this part as well. All right, let me stop sharing. Forgive me for a second while I work this out. I'm the next person, of course. Okay.
You have lighting down as the next one.
Oh, that's right, lighting. Alan, you are actually up next and I'm after you. So Alan, take it away.
Okay. So basically last year we had 2 lighting demonstrations, 2 long weekends, for 5 days each time. We had the lighting proposals in place. After the first one, the general consensus seemed to be that people preferred a certain type of lighting which was very low to the ground, that could be installed in, for durability, either wooden or concrete stanchions. So the mower wouldn't run them over, or a dog leash. And this is called path lighting. The proposal we received 2 proposals. One was for 56 lights, and this we later altered to have 43 lights. And I'm assuming most everybody has actually seen this, had seen the demonstration. The reason people liked the low lighting was because it would illuminate the pathway without getting in anybody's eyes, okay? And there would be no uplighting. These are down lights, fairly low level lighting in terms of wattage. They wouldn't emit any light that goes up. And so that was actually, the not being caught up in, having any light pollution. And yet there would be enough light that the light, if you're on the pathway, especially if it were paved with concrete or pavers, it would be reflecting off the surface for 6 or 8 feet, 10 feet. You would go from one cone of light as you're walking, you would see the next one. So there would be enough light to navigate by without blinding you or causing your pupils to contract. So you wouldn't lose your night vision. And so that's essentially it seemed to be that most people wanted something that was less, or more innocuous, shall we say, just enough to actually navigate by. Yeah. And so that's pretty much where we left it off. I think people are aware of the amount of money that's in the proposal. And it's a lighting system that's flexible. Lights can be added to it. They can be spliced in at a later time. And lights could be also, we flagged it so that people would get a chance to see where we were proposing the lights to be. it turned out that the distance between the lights worked out pretty well where people's pathways were, where they met the Solterra pathway from their house. So that's essentially the 43 lights would cover, you would have, each of the pathways would have its own wiring system so that if there was an issue with one pathway, it wouldn't affect the other ones. And there's a type of timer that was proposed that would enable us to set it in several different ways. It's flexible, a flexible timer. In other words, as we get into summer, the lights wouldn't come on until much later in the evening. And so, whereas in winter, obviously, people might want to see lights at 5 p.m., 5:30, depends, you know. So essentially, there's a lot of flexibility in the system that we could have 2 to 3 times the number of lighting fixtures, but it was decided that we would try to go minimal at first and then see if there was a groundswell or individuals, you know, who wanted more. It could be added later. And that's essentially what, you know, what the proposal involves. So if there's any questions, you know, I'll certainly be happy to answer them a little bit later, but in the interest of time, I'm going to say I think that pretty much covers it.
It did. Very, very good, Alan. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
So, all right, can everybody see this now, the proposal? So can everybody see the proposal for the Solterra paths?
Yes, yes, Nancy.
Yes.
Thank you all for answering. This is a PowerPoint that summarizes everything that we presented. And as I said earlier, we have one surface to propose, and we think that it meets all of the concerns and the questions and the desires that people have expressed to us over time. The first 3 slides of this, the drainage, the rain gardens, and the lighting slides, simply recap what you just heard. So I'm not going to stop on them. I'm going to go by them. But after this meeting, this PowerPoint will be put up onto Basecamp site, and you'll be able to go back and read those again if you want to. So there is a page about drainage, a page about rain gardens, and a page about lighting. And then we come to surfaces. Excuse me for a second, I have to move some things on my screen so I can see everything. So our original goals were that the path be easy to maintain, easy enough to maintain so that we keep up with it rather than, you know, giving up on it. We want it to be easy to repair, and we thought about situations where in the future we might want to lay down more pipe somewhere or more conduit or have cables that have to go under the path. And how would we do that? What's the type of path we could have that would make that feasible and affordable? And we talked about durability, and we really would like to have something that lasts, you know, beyond our lifetime. So, you know, aiming for a 50+ year durability. As far as aesthetics, you know, everybody has their own preferences and what they like, but we do want to pick something that's attractive. It should be accessible, it should be safe. So it needs to have stable surface and not slippery. We have to keep in mind the ecological impact. You know, is it directing water where we want it to go? Is it made of materials that make sense to us? So based on where the community has brought us, we have come up with a proposal that we would like to make. And that is, we believe the surface that works best for all of these is pavers. When we talk about the ease of maintenance, pavers are very easy to take care of. The contractor said the main thing that needs to be done is that if you want to, is that occasionally blow weed seeds out from between joints. It can be done after mowing. Also, you might have to replace individual pavers if they break, but that's highly unlikely. They're very sturdy. As far as ease of repair, such as if we have to place more conduits or more cables, It's easy to pull up the pavers in a narrow area, dig under the path as needed, and then replace it, replace the clay and the dirt and the sand and the pavers on top. Pavers are very durable. They can last at least 50 years. For aesthetics, there's many beautiful choices in our price range. And correctly installed paths are stable with proper edging, and we would be using aluminum edging that would be pounded down below the height of the brick. So you wouldn't be stepping on the edging, but it would be holding the pavers in place. If small sections of a path sank or heaved, they can be repaired by fixing only that small area. You wouldn't have to break into concrete or dig up other areas, just the area that needed repair. For ecological impact, the paths would be graded so that water flows where we want it to flow. Our improved drainage system should be able to handle the water. We can pick either clay pavers, which are mostly brick, or concrete pavers. Stone pavers are far out of our price range, and any paver that we choose will last 50 or more years. So Tom and I went out and we did look at bricks in Durham last year. And this is another, this is a concrete paver on the right. But our contractors, the contractor that we like and that came to see us most recently, did give us several great options. So I don't need a laser pointer.
You can just move your mouse around. Yeah, people see that.
Okay. The first one that they sent, that he showed us, was Cambridge Cobble pavers. They're very beautiful, in my opinion. You can see that the edges up here, go in one direction, and then the pavers are laid in another direction. So you have that effect of having the edging on the paths. And these come in a number of different colors. The main issue with this is that because they are cobble pavers, they're slightly domed on the top. So for things with wheels, they might, bump a little bit as they go along. Not a lot, but a little bit. So another choice is these pavers, which are flat on top. They are concrete interlocking pavers. And they also come in a variety of colors.
Nancy, that picture on the top, that looks like NC State.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay, so they do come in colors. The one up here, and NC State is done in this, is, oh no, this is not, no, these are concrete pavers, I'm sorry. NC State actually has these.
Oh, okay.
And these are made in North Carolina. They are made with clay. They're not concrete because they're brick. This particular design is about 70% red bricks with about 30% that are varying shades of charcoal. Again, you can have the borders on them. Two different types of borders shown here. If you look at the two different, these bricks, not these bricks, but bricks also come in a big variety of colors. And all of these are from the southeastern United States. So none of them would be traveling very far, and they are made of clay rather than concrete. And there is a place that Matt is going to tell you about in a couple minutes that you can go and look at a number of different paver colors. So we really think that this meets the needs of the community in all of those areas that we targeted. We'd like to discuss it and talk with you about it, see how you feel about it. The contractor who gave us this information and these pictures also came in with a very good price compared to other pavers that we had looked at earlier. And he was able to give us a bid. And based on that and what the bids we'd already received for the other parts of the project, we have been able to come up with a little bit more information about the financing of this project. Of course, everything depends on what we actually choose and, what actually happens when the work starts. But, we're a lot closer to having a good idea of how much everything will cost and how we can pay for it. So now we're going to go to Lane to talk to you about finances. So Lane,
Before Lane starts, did you want Matt to talk about where he sees the brick options?
no, he's going to talk after Lane.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
I think she's on mute.
Lane, are you on
Okay,
mute?
there we go, sorry. Thanks, Nancy. Yes, for finances, looking at the bids that we've gotten so far and getting some, basically estimates on the different aspects of the project, we're pretty confident that we can finance the project with a 10-year loan that will only have a $10 per month increase in dues. And we're also hoping that, with some savings that we may get, or that we do tend to get in terms of not spending our budget, that we could potentially pay down that 10-year loan a couple of years early. So it may end up being more like an 8-year loan, which would save us interest, obviously, and get rid of our obligations sooner. But we are pretty confident at this stage. Again, all the details need to be ironed out, but looking at a 10-year loan with a $10 per month increase.
Great. Thank you, Lane.
Certainly.
So we have gone a little bit longer in our presentation than I meant to, but we would like to take comments and questions now, and I've asked SK to facilitate that. So we'll go as long as we can. If you can stay beyond 6, we'll keep going. I'm happy to keep going. So
Yeah,
SK,
it looks like, yeah, sure. It looks like we have about 20 minutes and there are 25 people on the call. So again, today's not about making a decision. We got some new information and we just want to check in consideration of what you heard or maybe what you've been thinking about. Do you have a comment or question that you'd like to share? We're going to do a go round. So I'm going to call on people one at a time so that everyone will have a chance to make a comment. You are most welcome to pass if you don't have anything to share today. Given our time constraints, please try to keep your comments pretty short. So we are going to start without further ado, unless there's any issue. I'm going to ask Judith. Do you have any comments or questions that you'd like to share?
No, not now.
Okay, thank you. Vicky.
So Lane, can you just repeat the information, the financial information that you,
$10 a month
10
per person.
How much was per household? Just let me hear.
A 10-year loan, which would involve an increase in dues of $10 per month per household.
Per lot, you mean?
Per lot, yeah.
Per lot. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
That was all I had.
Okay.
SK,
Okay,
to you.
thanks. Thanks, Vicky. Alan Perlman.
He's on mute.
Alan, sorry, you're on mute.
Yeah.
I liked everything I heard today. I thought it seemed like the planning group made a lot of progress. I feel strongly about going ahead with this. And I also feel strongly that we actually do the lighting. There was some talk last meeting about possibly not doing lighting, but I really would like the community to be less road and car centric and more path centric, which is a tip of the way most co-housing communities are. And I feel like we've become much more road and car centric. So I would like to move us in the other direction, and I'll just leave it there.
Okay. Sasha, did you have anything?
Yes, I have several questions. So this $10 is in addition to the $5 that we just increased that was path related.
The $5 that we had the increase was to increase our contributions to the capital improvements project. So yes, the $10 would be in addition to our current $135.
Okay. And do the any of the ag companies or ag groups help with giving us plants or seeds, Betsy? For rain gardens?
There are places that we can get them for free. I mean, if people want to join the botanical gardens, you get a whole package of free seeds. I don't think that that NC State helps with that, but I think it's easy enough to propagate plants that it won't be a big cost.
And let me just jump into, this is Nancy. Judith just sent today to members of the committee information about a program in Durham that is giving money back to individuals, I believe, who create rain gardens, among other things. So I haven't had a chance to look in it deeply, but we will be looking into that as well.
I told that it was for communities and individuals, and I think she 40% of the cost. Money actually comes from the Soil and Conservation, the federal program. And my friends seem to think that there was a deadline in September for submitting proposals, and then the county ends them to feds. That's all I know, and I haven't read the details.
Okay, thanks for sending that.
And just one more clarification. Are we talking about every single gravel path that we have in the community? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, thanks. Brenna and Preston, did you all have anything?
Does every path option require that $10 increase, or is there like a second choice that would have no increase in the due?
I don't think you were here when we gave our very first initial one where we showed
I
prices of
remember
various
that, yeah.
services. Oh, maybe you were. The cheapest option was to simply replace the gravel, and that was about half the price. So there is a cheaper option, but it doesn't meet, we feel it doesn't meet all the needs, but.
So Nancy, the paving part was half the price, but then the price of the lights and the drainage would be the same. So the
Right.
overall cost was reduced by a certain percentage, and that would create a path that would require the sort of maintenance headache that we've run into. I mean, we're talking less than 10 years.
And also with respect to if we take out to do the project, even if we reduce some of the components of the price, we will need a loan, and we need to have a flow of cash to pay our loan note every month. So we are going to have to increase dues to take out a loan. I mean, we don't have enough surplus cash to fund having a loan of that size from our current level of dues.
Just philosophically, our community has suffered because of very short-minded decisions made when this community was formed, with the paths and the lights and that, and we don't want to do that again. The decision we make this year should be something that residents of Solterra 30 years from now will be happy that we did.
Okay, Don Shaw.
I'm all for the committee's recommendations and the financial, so thanks.
Thanks.
Did Nancy make you say that?
I'm in a different state. I don't have any power right now.
He's too far away to have any effect. And Zed agrees too.
Okay. And Rob, and I don't know if Ricky's there with you, but yeah, Rob Schick.
No, she's cooking.
Okay.
So I guess my only question is mostly about the drainage. Like, I guess to Nancy, like in the size of some of those pavers, like otherwise you're just showing like icons, but are they like, a foot square each kind of paver? Like, how does that work out?
The pavers are actually brick size. So the brick ones are brick size. So they're 4 by 8. The other side, there are other sizes available. And we could choose them, but we'd have to go look for them and pick
So
them
those
out.
like those Cobble ones that you showed earlier?
Yeah, I
those
don't
were
know.
like,
Actually, that's a good question. I don't know what size that is, but I don't think they're too much bigger than, 4 by 8, maybe 8 by 8. I'm
Nancy,
sorry.
let me cut in. So the NC State guys connected us with a man named John Saunders as an installer, and he directed us to go to the Stone Center on 55 in RTP. It's a little bit south of where I work. Mary and I went out there one weekend and looked around, and it is almost a kid in a candy store experience because of all of the variety. They've got large, 10-foot by 15-foot areas of everything they sell. You'll find stuff at $2 or $3 a square foot, which is really our budget's the cheap stuff, and it's there. But there's also magnificently beautiful stone that's out there too, that is $20 a square foot, which no way we're going to be able to afford that. So I am willing to take people, direct people, go with them, provide information, whatever people want to do. But I think a field trip might be in order to answer a question like you just asked, Rob, as well as have people see what we're proposing to buy for the community. And I can add more information later.
Okay, thanks. So I guess just building off what Preston and Sasha said, so does the $10 cover the lighting, the drainage, and the pavers?
Yes.
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 Thank you. I support it.
Hey, SK, it's Cheryl.
Yes.
I was just worried that we heard from Preston, but not from Brenna, if she had anything to add.
Thank you. Yeah, Brenna, did you?
No, I think it's a really well thought out plan and I'm in support. I think it's great.
Thanks. Kathy Stone.
SK.
Did I raise my hand?
Oh, I'm calling on everyone, Kathy. So if you have a comment.
I like it. I noticed one of the brick colors is yellow. I'm just saying, yellow brick road. No, I think it's a great solution to our problem. Thanks.
All right. Pete and Cheryl. Oh, Lois, did you have something? You guys are leaving. Lois, did you want to go ahead?
Thank you. Yes, because we need to leave. I think that the pavers will be a tremendous addition of beauty to the community. And I'm so thankful to the committee for thinking well for our community and in the really large area, both figuring out the financial and thinking about the usability and just all the various factors. What do you want to comment?
You said it all.
All right. Pete and Cheryl.
I'm sorry, skip us and come back. We just heard a knock on our door.
Okay.
Probably one of our girls.
No problem. Shahar.
Yeah, I am in support. I was in the group that was like, I don't know if we need anything. I don't need anything, but I definitely hear their drainage thing, and it seems like overall I'm happy to be a lemming on this one and go with the flow. It sounds good. As far as what it definitely seems like sort of the best middle ground option to me between the two kind of extremes of doing nothing and doing too much. So it sounds really good. Thanks for your work, everybody.
Patricia.
I think they look great. Sorry, Vicky's turned down. Got it? Okay. Sorry, no, I think it looks like a great plan. I have a preference, not a huge preference, but for the smoother bricks rather than the ones that are sort of have that little dome edge to them. If you look at the path that's here at our house and our patio, that I'm pretty sure that is those slightly dome textured pavers that were one of the options you were looking at, and they're just a little bumpy. If somebody was like for scooters and skates and stuff. But I think it looks great. Great plan, great financial planning, and thanks to the committee.
Ready now. We can jump. Oh,
Sorry, go ahead, Pete and Cheryl.
all right. I think that sorry, can't see me. I think that all of the decisions that have been made show that a lot of thought has been put into things, and I'm very happy with the plan as it stands so far.
I support the plan. I appreciate the thinking about the pavers, how in the event maybe we get fiber, we could be able to put them under the paths, and I just appreciate the forward thinking of that.
Great, thanks. Sherry. If you are.
Yeah, I think it sounds very exciting, and I'm really glad that we're going to move forward and that the fee covers so much. That's really terrific. My one question about the pavers has to do with weeds growing up. I know the brick, I think, is definitely preferable for kids riding toys, scooters and such. But I know that weeds can grow up, and has there been any, was there any information that came from the committee about that?
Yes, the contractor said that the best way to handle that is to blow the weed seeds off, or the grass seeds off of the path after mowing. And we can include that. I believe that we'll be able to include that in the TROSA contract. And it may be an extra charge, but any path that you pick, there would be maintenance on. There may be, periodic weeding as well, but if we keep up with it, then it should be okay. But these pavers, the pavers are interlocking pavers, and there's not a lot of depth to the sand, and it's, he says it's not a huge problem. It's just something you just keep on top of by blowing out of the joints.
I live on a campus where all of the whole campus is these pavers, and you just never see weeds.
They probably have a big gardening staff.
That's true.
They may very well use
I have one.
herbicide.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
When I
Sherry.
asked around at Duke Gardens and at Witherspoon, they told me they use weed killer.
Sherry, did you have something else? You're muted.
I think it can wait. It has to do with how the pavers are constructed, but that kind of question can wait. I did want to mention one thing, and it doesn't have to be answered now, but I liked Sue's idea of putting a rain garden by the big lake that's right on the path by our house.
Absolutely.
Because that is just constant these days. But I think that will mean that we might have to reroute the path somewhat if we do put a rain garden there. So somehow that should be taken into consideration, and I'd be glad to be part of that discussion.
That would be great, and that is partly why we have to do it all together, because it is intertwined. So,
yeah,
we'll definitely get your input.
Yeah, good, and help.
And help, sure.
Yeah, great, wonderful work. I'm excited about it.
Thanks.
Stephanie.
Thank you. Yeah, just wanted to say thank you to everybody that worked on this. I think it would be beautiful. And I'm also happy to see we're financing that. I think that there's no sticker shock with it. I'm actually thought it would be a lot more. So I think it's a great idea, and I know a lot of thought went into it. So I was just gonna ask for the places where the path has disappeared, like when you come in on Solterra by my house, I can't even tell where the path used to be. So I'm wondering if maybe we could mark the areas that have disappeared on a future work day, just so for landscaping and stuff to come, we can start envisioning how, our yards might work with it.
Sounds good. I think we could do that in some way. Sure.
Thank you.
Buck and Cheryl?
Oh, they're on mute.
You're muted.
There you go.
We shouldn't really comment. We missed the meeting because we forgot about it today. So.
Okay. We can catch up. I think it's being recorded. So, Brett.
Hey, so thanks everyone. I think this was quite, a lot of thought went into this, and I appreciate all the effort. One thing that my comment would be, I know Betsy, you've been leading the rain garden efforts. What I would like us to really consider is working to figure out the collection of a lot of the water, because I've installed these kinds of paths before, the pavers. For folks that don't know, in a former life, I had a landscaping company many, many years ago. So I've done these paths, and I know based on my knowledge, like we will be adding impervious surface to Solterra by these. And it's, even though it's set on sand, it's still like with the surface, there's still water going to be running off versus going in. So I would like us to, really think about, and I know this is happening, but just to encourage this and the collection of as much water as possible, and wherever we can. So,
Brett, I should mention when I walked around Solterra with the contractor, he absolutely positively refused to put down permeable pavers on our current path because he said that our path is so compacted it is currently impermeable.
Oh yeah, sure.
And actually what he said beyond that was that if we wanted to use permeable pavers, we would have to dig out quite a depth and put in other materials. And that would more than double the cost of, or not more than double, but it would be close to double the cost of the project to do that. And then they still would be sitting on top of clay. So what we'll be trying to do is direct the water to the best places for it to go, which is partly the rain gardens, and then partly into our existing structure, which is what the stormwater runoff people told us. Our plan is going in the right direction. Things are draining where they need to drain. So, I wish it could be more permeable, but it's minimally permeable.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I was, if we can in the process just try to collect as much as we can.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Thanks.
Luke. Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Luke?
There we go. Got it. Thanks everybody. I think this is like super exciting. My primary concern is that I think the heaving will be real and material and present a tripping hazard more so than our current paths have. Having had brick pavers near pine trees before, it's like it requires maintenance and or use of Roundup, which we're not going to be psyched about. So I think if you look at the beautiful paths at somewhere like NC State, you're seeing something that has the benefit of an awesome amount of maintenance that it takes to prevent those paths from heaving.
So you're volunteering?
Maybe we've definitely not. Maybe we've just had like bad installations before, but we have had brick paver paths before, and they were serious to maintain.
Luke, one of the reasons that we like pavers is that if we'd put down, say, concrete and had a tree, then repairing that would be a big deal and it would be really ugly. Whereas with pavers, you're right, it does require maintenance, but at least we can do it ourselves.
Totally fair.
Luke, I was having a hard time hearing you. Were you concerned about weeds? Is that it?
No.
I'm concerned about a tripping hazard more so than I'm concerned about weeds.
So
when you get
a
roots
root
coming up, that it pushes up the brick, and then you don't have like a smooth thing. You have a sharp edge that people trip over.
So when you see paved paths, like at NC State or American Tobacco campus, all of those bricks are sitting on concrete, right? And so that they're able
actually,
to maintain,
that's not true for a lot of NC State, but the point is taken.
well, they're able to maintain the surface and there's no weeds and whatnot. And once you put it on a, sand or whatever, any roots can lift things up, just to keep in mind.
Yeah, I was, the pavers that we have in the paths between our houses here were set on a, like a crushed concrete base. So that's the reason that we don't have weeds coming up, because they're not just set in sand, they're actually set on a hard surface.
So Patricia, what the contractor said is our problem.
We did it. It's been about 5 years, more than 5 years, and they're still pretty smooth. There's just a couple of places where there's a little bit of movement in the
you have them with
pavers,
weeds?
but
So,
the base that they're set in really determines whether or not we're going to have a weed problem and whether or not they're going to remain
so
stable.
Patricia, what the contractor said is
I think he
that
says 8 years.
given the way that he will work on the surface, he said the problem is not weeds coming up from below. That will never be a problem. The problem is weeds from above, and so that's why they're talking about either vacuuming or blowing to just keep the seeds out.
Right. And Sue.
Yeah, I've had a lot of time to come up with a whole list here. First of all, I just want to say that I'm incredibly impressed with all the work that has gone into this and the package that you're presenting. I mean, I know, having been here listening to meetings, I know there's been a lot of work, but and next I wondered if the contractor is offering any kind of warranty on his work for any length of time, you know, in case something weird does come up that, you know.
He did. There was talk about that. I forget the details. What he said was that he would absolutely refuse to warranty a permeable surface.
Okay, well,
but
that would
I don't-
imply that he would warranty another.
I don't remember the details. I'll have to get back to you on that.
That'd be good to know. And then also it occurred to me that the paths that we have now are not seeming to be affected by roots. I mean, I've never noticed a place where, maybe I haven't seen them, but I don't see that being a big problem now. So I'm
Well, I
not
mean,
sure-
the problem is the bricks do migrate a little bit, and so we will have to keep an eye on bricks that pop up. But the good news is we don't have to call the contractor to have those
Right.
repaired. We can put them
Right,
down
I
ourselves.
heard that, but I'm just, well, and there's supposed to be an edging to keep them in place. from
That's
what I
correct.
saw.
Yeah,
But I'm
there's a
just
metal
saying,
edging.
on the positive side, I've not seen problems with roots on our present paths. So, and then two other things that are not as positive, maybe. I wondered if there was any provision for people that might have a hardship paying the extra assessment. You know, I don't know what that might be, but there might be, I mean, that's a pretty decent increase. How long was that gonna go on for? Was it time limited or?
When the
until
loan's paid off.
And when would that be?
Maximum 10 years. Hopefully
That's
sooner.
all. And I just wonder about anybody trying to sell their home during that time is going to have an increased assessment to sell along with it.
So Sue, Dr. Green mentioned that she has what she considers the most minimal monthly dues of any community she's been in, and it's 150 a month.
Good. Well, that's good, but she's in a different place. But anyway, I just thrown that out. But otherwise, I think it's wonderful. I think it's exciting.
Okay, thank
What's so funny?
I just want to know, we are a couple minutes over, but we have just a few more people to hear from, and I'd like to make time. If you need to drop off, that's fine. This will be recorded, so let's do Betsy next. Yeah.
Yep. One thing I haven't heard anybody address is what happens when we have an ice storm with these pavers. Anybody know that, or could you find that out? Because that's going to make it even less accessible than it is now.
True. Ice on bricks is pretty horrible, but it is on concrete. It's worse than other surfaces, but we can look into that.
I don't think we want to do salt on the paths, particularly if we're doing rain gardens on the side.
No, you definitely do not want salt for many reasons, but yeah, rain is deadly to rain gardens. So
yes.
Okay.
Sand would be.
Good point. Thank you, Betsy.
Matt and Mary.
Hi, guys. Long meeting. It's wonderful to listen to everyone's comments. I guess what I'm most struck with, both having been involved in the planning and listening to how everyone has come together, is the degree of compromise that we've had on so many different topics.
Right.
Lighting, for example, how much light, up light, down light, light pollution, effects on everything. And we got there. Drainage, where are we going to put the water? How fast are we going to let it drain? How can we do infiltration? And we've got solutions for that too with rain gardens and slowing things down. The surfaces, it's been a difficult problem, right? So pavers, repair, making it flat, accessible, inexpensive enough. It's been quite a journey, and we've gotten there, I believe. financing also was a bit of a compromise because it costs more to pay for this with a loan. And I think that addresses the folks that didn't want to pay cash up front or to pay cash over 2 or 3 years. I think that it makes it easier for people who wish to sell their home because they can point at the dues, the monthly dues rate, and the buyer just has to kind of accept it. Whereas if you were selling your home, you wouldn't want a multi-$1,000 expense that month. And for people that are just moving in, they're not going to want an expense 2 months after they just got here. So this spreads it out. It's the most fair way to do it. And like all compromises, it costs a little bit more, or it's going to be different segments of the community not getting everything that they wanted. So this is what we came up with. I'm pleased. Mary, do you want to?
I'm super excited. I think that they'll be beautiful and functional and really improve the aesthetic and the quality of life here. And I can't wait.
Thanks, guys.
Jennifer, I know you're taking notes.
It's okay. I don't really have anything to add right now.
Okay.
Other than thanks to the committee, it's clear tons of work and it's been really well presented. So thank you so much, everyone.
Brand.
No comments other than I'd like to read Patricia's chat message. Our condo dues in downtown Durham are $315 a month. Anyway, thanks for me and the committee and everybody else.
Okay. Nancy, you're the last one, I think, unless I missed someone.
Well, I'm kind of for it. I don't have any questions. Is there anybody that we missed? So SK, thank you so much for doing that. That really worked well, I think. I want to thank everybody who came to this meeting and who's been coming to the meetings. If you have any questions or thoughts or things that occur to you, we really would like to know them. So you can contact Brand or me with comments or questions. I'd like you to think about everything that we talked about. I'd like you to talk to your neighbors about it. I'm going to encourage people who weren't here to watch this presentation. And within a week or so, I hope that the committee, well, maybe 2 weeks, I'll give us 2 weeks. The committee will meet again and decide on what our next step is. Our next community meeting is April 28th. And thank you really to everybody on every committee who's been helping. It's a long list of names and we're past time. So thank you. Thank you. Yep. Anybody have anything to add at the last second? Then thank you very much. Thanks
Thank you all.
for being here.
Thank you.